Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Jeremy Blair.
And I'm Rain Whalen. Oh, it's finally time, Jeremy. No more silent films.
Yeah. This one's my bad, for sure. I wasn't expecting it to be this difficult when I pitched this. When I was like, oh, we'll just do Fritz Lang movies, it'll be easy, I was mistaken, for sure.
And as we were kind of talking about off mic, for me, it wasn't really difficult. It was just, compared to our 4.5 hour long silent film we did, I was like, why am I so bored with this one? Because I was actually really excited for this one, espionage and spies. But the whole time I was just like, I don't care about all these subplots.
So it started out much like Dr. Mabuse, very strong, right? Where we're moving fast, things are happening. This guy gets shot in the head while driving. It was cool. And things are getting stolen and all that stuff. You really need to be paying attention because it all matters very, very much what's happening, right? It affects the rest of the 2-hour plus runtime. And if you weren't paying attention, or you have trouble paying attention, or you get confused easily, like me, the rest of the movie was hard to understand because I read the synopsis today a few times, and I got it, but at the time I didn't get it,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, before we get into it, as we were also talking about off mic, you finally saw Beau Was Afraid.
I did.
Man, I really want to see it, but for some reason, it's not going to be in Midland until the 27th.
So, just a spoiler-free review. It's absolutely tremendous. Those of you who loved Synecdoche, New York, will love this.
Oh, man.
I know. If you love that sort of surrealism, if you're a fan of David Lynch, you'll love this. If you're a fan of Ari Aster, I know you're not, but this is something different that Ari Aster is giving. That's not necessarily horror, and it's really good. People aren't going to like it. People are going to complain like they always do. People are not going to understand it. I've been telling everybody that for right now, if you know someone who's seen it, or if you're reading someone who's seen it and they're giving it a really bad review, if they've seen it only one time, don't listen to them because it's going to take a lot to unpack because there's so much and it's so long, right? So definitely multiple watches are needed, which some might say is a bad thing. I say it's a great thing. You want to be able to revisit something multiple times and it get better every time, right? So that's definitely going to be the case with this one, with Beau Was Afraid.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the podcast. I'm not Ari Aster's biggest fan. But as soon as I heard about this movie, I was like, I'm in. Stacked cast. The one for me, besides Joaquin Phoenix, was Nathan Lane, which I know no one really, unfortunately, gets excited when they hear, oh, Nathan Lane's in a new movie. But I was like, oh, Nathan Lane's in a new movie? Like,
you're gonna love.
We're done.
Nathan, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love Nathan Lane in this. He's fucking awesome. A fun surprise that I'd forgotten, or that I didn't know that I would enjoy as much as I did, is Parker Posey. She's fucking awesome in this. Those of you who don't know Parker Posey, look her up. She's amazing. And it's fun to see her in a substantial role. So it was pretty cool. And Amy Ryan, for those of you who love The Office. So. Uh, go
You
see
know,
it.
my I think I told you Ashley's been rewatching. That's actually what she's doing right now while we're recording. She's watching The Office.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, she's like all in on The Office.
Let me know when she
Yeah, I
gets
just wanted to bring that
to.
up before.
Uh, Let me know when she gets to the um, to Jim and Pam getting married. Oh, spoilers.
I
Um,
I think she's getting close to that because they're
okay,
already
let me know
engaged by this point.
because the boat captain that marries them, I've talked to him over the phone. So isn't that fun? Um,
Wait, what?
yeah, that's my uncle's best friend, Randy. So, he's a producer on the show.
Really?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Randy
Very
Cordray, big
interesting.
shout out to my boy Randy. Thank you so much for taking my phone call all those years ago. Really appreciate it.
What would you do if like someone sends him this episode and he's like, I don't know who that is?
He might know who I am. Again, best friend since childhood. Him and my uncle Roy. Um, does he know my name? No, but I mean, and he's retired now. He doesn't work for the TV industry anymore. But um,
Yeah.
anyway,
So,
okay.
Jeremy,
Back to Spies.
Spies. Would
Okay,
you would you like me to proceed with the synopsis, or do you have a little bit more
yeah, do it
things to
real quick.
say to? Okay, quick
Do it real-
synopsis. Spies. 1928. Fritz Lang. Espionage story of kind of like what we talked about with Dr. Mabuse. Someone steals important documents that they are trying to get back because it is essentially a treaty that will prevent two countries from going to war. Um, and so the unnamed, well, I think it's the German government assigns their top agent to the case, and as any good, not what we talked about at the beginning, but as any good spy espionage movie has, we've got cat and mouse chases. Um, we've got twists and turns. Uh, a lot of death
Yeah.
for. I was not expecting how many people were going to die in this movie.
Well, especially when we get to the end, near. I mean, it's a lot and more violent visually than you're expecting. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
Jesus Christ. Um, and then, but at the same time, our top agent is falling in love with essentially a femme fatale,
yeah,
Sonia, who's been assigned by the criminal mastermind, which is, uh, oh God, I had their names up. Um, Rudolph Klein Rogue,
yep,
who I think you said his name when we did Dr. Mabuse. He was Dr. Mabuse. He's our criminal mastermind for this movie,
yep,
which is like Dr. Mabuse and a half,
yeah. It's sort of like
essentially.
yeah. I think it's Hagee. Uh, there's no way I said that correctly, but that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
Of
like
course,
Hag High.
he goes by other things as well because he's also a banking person. He runs a bank,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's also like agent one of those numbers,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
Agent
like seven
1179, I think, or
something like
something like that.
that. I'm
Yeah,
sure
but
if you look up.
anyway, it's hard to do a synopsis. I mean, I covered the basics. They're
Yeah,
just trying to retrieve this
yeah,
treaty.
they the between Japan and France, I believe.
Yeah, because they said it was an unnamed Eastern country.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
um,
Japan and
Russia,
France.
Japan,
Yeah, or
France,
something
Japan,
like that.
Russia. I don't remember. I'm so sorry, everyone. It's been
Well, I mean, well, and of course, it is a little confusing because then Japanese agents get involved
yeah,
to
yeah. So
help.
that's the right. That's the Japan part. I think it is Russia because Sonia is a Russian agent. So
Hmm.
I think it is Japan and Russia. And but then of course she falls in love with Agent 36. Hold on, I'm so sorry.
Three 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 two
326
six.
falls in love with 326, which was not expected. And then once Heidi finds out about, I need to find a better way to say that word. That name.
Let's just call him H.
H. So when H, such a cop out, we need to do better. H finds out about it, uses that romance as leverage, and manipulates her actions uh, with that romance. Um, then we get double crosses when she double crosses H. Uh, and of course, him thinking that she is falling in love with the other guy. Um, hold on, Jelusik.
Mm-hmm.
And then tries to, I think, have him killed, in which case she was just using him for something else, for information.
It's
And
it's all
it's
yeah, it's
all
all it's all unconnected. So, well, that was the synopsis essentially. I
kind
would
of.
say, kind of. I would say let's kind of start with untangling the web a little bit, because primarily it sort of starts with how'd you pronounce his name? Jalusik.
Jelusik, yeah.
Jalusik. It kind of all starts with him because he is willing to betray his country to. I'm assuming they probably offered him money. They don't really specify, but
Right.
he's willing to let this peace treaty get to disappear. Um, and he's sort of the catalyst for everything. Um, even though he only shows up like a handful of times, you
Yeah.
know, or at least that was my interpretation as I was watching.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Uh, again, this movie made me feel really dumb, but I think I'm just not. I've always struggled with espionage films. Like when we did Tinker Tailor, I was like glued to the screen because I'm like, I cannot miss anything. I had that list of names right next to me, right? So like I already have a mental block when it comes to espionage, and then you add on it's silent. You add on it's 2.5 hours, and I'm gonna get confused,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
Um,
and I think and to play devil's advocate for you, I think it's also due in part that there's a lot of information thrown at us.
yeah,
All the different players in the field. Because with Tinker Tailor, it's internal, and yeah, we have a lot of people involved. It's not as intricate as this. Tinker Tailor is more like we got to find the mole.
right.
This is we need to find the mole, getting good with him, but then someone's going to double cross that mole, and then that person's got their. It's there's so many. I mean, and I didn't hate the movie.
No,
I
I
know I
didn't either.
usually save that. I know I usually save that for later, but I didn't hate the movie. But it is very layered, and it was boring at times because I was trying to like, okay, so okay, that's who that is. Okay, like, but that doesn't make sense.
I don't blame you at
Um,
all for thinking it was boring because I watched a video today of this guy who seemed like a total film snob, and he said that he was bored too. So that it does drag sort of in the middle. I think once when Haley came in and she sat down while I was watching, it was near the end. It was gearing up towards the train crash, and when the
mm-hmm.
train crash happened, she's she's already learned people's names and she's able to connect them already. And she's like, oh, okay, so that's 326. That's what's her face. Oh, okay. No, he's fine. And here comes this person. Oh, and it was so easy, right, for her anyway.
Uh-huh.
And it did become a little more clear. I'm not saying that it was she was she's not a genius. She is a genius, and she was able just to sit down and figure it all out in 2 seconds when she sat down. But uh,
Well, but I think where she's coming in at the point of the story, like I feel like she would have been just as confused if she sat down and watched it with you from the first second. Because even
Yeah,
I
I
was
think
just
so.
like,
Because she didn't have to
because
deal
I
with, hold on, what is his name? He was the head of the Japanese Secret Service.
oh,
Um,
Matsumoto.
yes, Matsumoto, who is not Japanese. Shocker, but there are Asian actors
Yeah,
in this movie. So, uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Because I was like, he doesn't. We'll get there anyway.
because like so there was a point where I was starting to fatigue a little bit, and then I perked up because Matsumoto was about to perform ritualistic suicide, and I was like, wait,
Yeah,
what did I miss? You know, and it was,
yeah,
well, no, because before that was the hallucination, which I also really loved.
yes,
Which
yeah.
you will
So
put
we
up
were
a
talking.
picture of it, please.
Yes, as we
Um,
were talking about off mic. Hopefully, Future Rain puts up that photo of his three, um, not henchmen, his three couriers.
they're like employees, yeah.
Yeah,
They're like
yeah,
his
that was
agent.
really cool.
It was
Yeah, that
so
was really
fucking
cool.
cool. Again, Lang is so good at this at these visual uh, marvels, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
in the very beginning, we also get, I love the shot of the hands going in to uncrack the safe. Um, I love the shot of the guy on the motorcycle. That was so fucking cool. Um, and of course the Asian agents, then the hallucination, that was fucking
Mm-hmm.
cool. I mean, there's stuff in here that's amazing, right? And he was given such a low budget for this because he almost bankrupted the studio with Metropolis.
Oh my
And
God, really?
yeah, because Metropolis is so big, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here they're like, listen, man, like you can make another one, but lay off all the big sets, okay? you know,
Yeah.
which is why this feels
Hey,
so small, so much smaller.
hey, that thing you did, don't do that again.
Even though it was a huge success, right? So thank God that it didn't bankrupt the studio, because it would have if it wasn't a big success. But but anyway, so he was given such a small budget this time, which I think the most intricate of a set we get is in. It was
It's the
either,
bank.
it's the bank with the staircases.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was really cool. But again, he's still using his visual genius with these sort of these images, and which is so cool that he finds a way to make things really compelling, even even when it's a story of espionage and things pretty grounded in reality. He can still make this wonderfully horrific uh a hallucination or nightmare sequence, um and do things like, we'll just paint your eyelids, you know
Yeah.
and it was so fucking cool. It was really it was really really interesting and really cool to see. But then there's that lag,
Yeah.
where we're getting more into the romance. We're getting more into misinformation, or people getting misinformation, or especially Heige. Sorry, I went back to doing that.
That's fine.
He's We're not getting enough of him, but we're getting more of him misunderstanding, right? Or him
Mm-hmm.
plotting, right? Which in a way is interesting, but it's also like, why make us think Sonya is going to end up with I forgot his fucking name again, uh Jalusic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why waste time with him misunderstanding their relationship and then going after him? I guess it's to show his scope of power and how important she is to his operation, maybe.
Maybe.
But all in all, once we get to the train crash, that's when it starts really, I mean, going like 100 miles an hour again, like it did in the very beginning. Um,
Yeah.
because once that happens, then we have, oh my god, 326 is dead. You know, wait, no, he's not. And that really cool shot of him holding the gun out of the rubble, that was really cool.
Hmm.
Um, and then even after that, where Sonya's being kidnapped, right? Um, they're flooding that bank with poison gas. Um, there's gunfire, there's explosions, there's chaos. Um, but now we need to corner our bad guy, who can walk, by the way. Um, and cool reveal, by the way, of him just getting
Yeah.
up and walking out of there. It's almost akin to, if anyone's seen Saw, when 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 Jigsaw gets up off the floor, you're like, what the fuck, you know? Um,
That guy's been alive the whole time.
yeah, and or it's sort of like in The Usual Suspects when Kevin Spacey stops being all gimpy as he walks to his car, you know. And you're like, he doesn't have cerebral palsy. That's crazy, you know. He truly is Kaiser Soze in real life too. I guess what I'm saying is the movie's really good. I think it would have benefited by being at least 30 minutes shorter. You know,
I would agree to that. I would agree to that. Yeah, man. Because yeah, a lot of the back and forth just didn't. Yeah, I think that's what dragged it along.
Mhm.
You know, because like I was following it perfectly fine. Was understanding that um had hey
Maybe it's
fuck, I'm not
Haji.
Haji. Maybe I can do that, Haji. I was following that he is our new criminal mastermind, and he's got plans on top of plans on top of plans. But man, like the whole middle section of 326 following Sonia to Jessel's apartment, and then because he thinks that they're actually lovers, and then he's trying to drink himself to death, and then Matsumoto stops. Like I was just like, I don't care.
By the way, Willie Fritch at the time was known for playing elegant gentleman, and which he became in the movie, but they Fritz Lang wanted to see him be like a sort of disheveled bum for a while, because that's not what he was known for at the time. Which I would have liked to see more of that, by the way. Um,
Yeah, that's a good cover. It's a good cover.
it was, and it was cool, and he was a secret agent, but he was like deep undercover, and I thought that was really interesting. And um, but you take him to a fancy hotel, run him a bath, and he's good. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
good for the rest of the movie.
yeah, yeah. So and because I don't know, I think I have that face blindness sometimes, because every once in a while I would be like, wait, is that him? And then I'd be like, no, it's someone else. You know, or I'd be like, wait,
Yeah,
no, that is him. Okay. I had a hard time with that after he became his elegant gentleman self. Um,
the gentleman spy
yeah,
essentially.
yeah. Which that's why I really appreciated Fritz Rasp, who played Jalusik, because he was so unique looking that he was almost wearing a zoot suit, you know. But he had that
Yeah.
mustache, he had that hair, that hat, and he was very recognizable. So that I enjoyed that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so okay, let's talk about. I want to talk about some of the really surprising stuff of this movie. Okay, I think
Okay.
if we come up with more plot stuff, that's great. I'm having a hard time. So we'll get back to the train stuff later because I like that stuff too. But
Okay.
the cyanide capsule surprised me. I think that's the first time anyone's ever killed themselves. A character has killed themselves using cyanide in a movie. That was pretty cool, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
When they finally catch up to that guy, and he puts something in his mouth real quick, and then he dies. Right.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Hagi or Haji shoots himself in the head at the end of the
Oh
movie.
my god, dude.
Um, at first, I'm not. as familiar with silent film and the tropes and how things look and what's supposed to represent what at this time, just because of filmmaking barriers and roadblocks at the time. So I thought it was a blank, right? Because
Uh-huh.
he stood up so long right afterward, and then he just drops, and I go, oh, I guess that's him shooting himself. That's crazy, you know?
Yeah. You know what it reminded me of?
Hmm.
It reminded me a lot of Birdman because the audience stands up and applauds.
Yes,
Uh, it reminded me a lot of Birdman. Um, so I wonder if Alejandro had seen this movie and was like,
maybe,
"Oh, I like that."
yeah. Well, and it's interesting storytelling because of course they think that it's part of the show, right?
Hmm.
And then when they drop the curtain, then the police can or the agents can come in and swarm them. That was really interesting. The ritualistic suicide was really interesting. I wasn't expecting that either.
God,
Um,
dude, yeah, I was not expecting all these people to die in this movie.
yeah,
Especially with that first courier getting back to the German headquarters and he gets
yes,
sniped through the window. Jesus Christ.
yeah, and these things have become standard, right, in your spy espionage action films. Um, that people who get too close or people that are about to give really important information are sniped or murdered or something just in time.
Hmm.
Um, the safe cracking is become standard, and um, these very fast paced action sequences like we see in the very beginning, that's obviously standard. I mean, we're setting a lot of precedents here in this film, which of course freaks me
So
out to do.
you can answer this later.
Maybe.
So would you say that Fritz Lang introduced a lot of the tropes that modern filmmakers use now
Maybe. I
for
think not directly. I think that he may have. I know you told me to do this later, but I'm doing it now. You know, it's just in sequence, right? So he does something that another filmmaker thinks is cool. He does it. Someone else sees that new one, they do it, and so on until we get, like until we get Javier Bardem taking out his fake jaw because he bit the cyanide capsule and it didn't kill him, right? That's where we get to in Skyfall. Um,
dude, fucking Skyfall, man. Oh my god, it's so good.
Kale, if you're listening, and I know you're not, Skyfall is better than Quantum of Solace. Um,
Wait, what does he like more?
Kale thinks Quantum of Solace is better than Skyfall.
Wait, hang on. Pause
Yeah,
on the episode.
sorry guys.
What?
Yeah, yeah,
And wait, and you're trying to have him give me shit for liking Doctor Who?
yeah. I mean, it's all relative, but yeah.
Dude, Quantum of Solace, man, they didn't even have the rights to
Now,
use
now hold on.
Spectre.
Now hold on. He doesn't like either movie. Let's be clear. He doesn't like either movie. He just thinks that
Of the
Skyfall
two.
is a lesser movie than Quantum of Solace. They're both bad in his eyes. To me, I
No.
love Skyfall. I think Skyfall's great.
Skyfall's the best, dude.
Um,
Uh
but anyway, so
yeah.
sorry, Zach, for that. Um,
Jesus Christ.
uh, for that aside.
But yes,
Also,
no.
I'd like to formally apologize to Zach, because this one was hard to get through. So I apologize because he even told me the other day. He texted me. And he goes, "Man, I can I be honest with you? I am not excited for one more of these." But he promised me he would watch all of them, and that's super sweet of him to do that. I
yeah,
think
Zach.
the rest of them
Yeah,
get better, or at least they get easier to follow.
yeah, Zach's the best. Well, can I be honest, dude?
Yeah.
I was looking at the analytics of this season so far, like on YouTube, and see like how the engagement is so far.
Oh, I bet you yours are
Uh,
just crushing mine.
well, of the four we've released this season,
Hmm.
um, uh, so far Edward Scissorhands the highest.
Really?
It has 35
Hmm.
views, and then
It's a lot for
it's
us.
it's the Batman movies,
Yeah, of course.
and then it's Destiny, and then
Oh
Doctor Mabuse.
no. Oh
So
geez, man.
I think even the one person who's watching our videos on YouTube are, I think they're wearing thin on
Yeah. It's
silent
just this one.
films.
And then after this, we get to do fun ones after this. Not that
Yeah,
they
after
haven't
this,
been fun.
yeah, after this in 2 weeks we'll get to do M.
Yeah,
Thank God.
I know.
Okay, so
Okay,
okay, I do want to talk about this real quick.
sure.
um, mainly also so we can stretch out this episode, so this episode's not 45 minutes long.
Sure.
I do really like the fact that even though yes, Fritz Lang casted Rudolph as Haji, I like the fact that he's not playing Dr. Mabuse.
Yeah.
You know, because as soon as I saw him on screen, I was like, oh, it's Dr. Mabuse. But I do like that. Yes, he has sort of disguises and different faces,
He does
but
have
not to the
disguises,
extent.
which I thought was interesting. It's sort of like a trope, I guess. He's not really. You're right. He's not doing Doctor Mabuse because that would be silly. Why would he do that? But it's like this. It's a way to show his two identities. You know, his mastermind identity. Sorry, his mastermind identity and
It's my nephew.
niece actually,
Oh, niece.
and it's his like public persona identity as the banker or something, you know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because you're right, his hair is different, you know.
Yeah.
He does have that stupid this is Annie, by the way. Is Anastasia.
Almost like a comb over a little bit.
Yeah, he has like this weird comb over, and then he just slicks it back when he's the banker, which I guess makes sense because bankers all have slick back hair. I think that's a rule. But
Yeah, when you sign your teller card, it says you have to come in with slick back hair.
yeah,
But yeah, you know, and I sorry everyone, Zach. But yeah, no, I really liked that he was still menacing, but I also liked that he wasn't as, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but he wasn't as cartoony as
sure,
Dr. Mabuse. And like what I mean by that is, you know, Dr. Mabuse almost is like the epitome of the evil genius,
yeah,
you know, as where Haji is more of the, he's definitely an evil genius, but he's
yeah,
more like almost grounded. Like
mhm,
that's okay. Like when he thinks he's got all the couriers, but it's all newspapers. He's mad about it, but then he remembers it's okay. I've got an ace in the hole. I can
yeah,
get this treaty with you know, because he's got his contingency plans for his contingency plans. So
yes. I like
I
that.
really,
Sorry, there's some visual language in place in this film that I really like, and it's the difference between the head of the Secret Service, his office, and then you have Haji's office or Hagi or whatever you say. Their offices are so different. So Hagi's or Haji's is very theatric and interesting, right? Where he's got that pneumatic tube in there. He's got the clear clock. He's got, you know, things going on. He's got the thing that tells him who gives him a letter and a quick synopsis of what the letter is, right? It's very interesting
mhm,
and works for him, right? Like he's not just working in the space is working for him too.
right.
But when you get to the head of the Secret Service office, it's really just boring. It's just an office. It's sort of plain, you know, meaning
Mhm,
that you're supposed to, I think, infer from that, maybe even subconsciously, because you're not really thinking about it at the time, but that the Secret Service is sort of like outmatched, right? That
mhm,
maybe Haji's gonna win because he's so much more prepared than they are, right? He's a step ahead, you know,
right.
which I really liked. Um,
Oh yeah. Sorry,
Jesus.
I haven't had dinner yet.
Here's a fun
Um.
here's a fun fact if you want one.
Okay.
Um, Greta Morus, who plays Sonia, was having an affair with Fritz Lang at the time. Yeah. Um,
And Fritz Lang co-wrote this with his wife.
yes. Now his wife also cheats on him as well because she had an
Oh,
affair.
okay.
She had an affair with an Indian gentleman. She really like. I think we mentioned that in the Destiny episode that she had a thing for Indian guys, and so she had an affair with an Indian gentleman. Um, and of course, he had an affair with this woman, Greta, and, and yes, he did co-write this with his wife, and his wife also wrote the book this is based on. Um, she also wrote the book for. Oh man, it wasn't Metropolis. It was. It might have been Metropolis. Anyway, she writes novels too, and then they just adapted the novels she wrote. Um, anyway, it doesn't matter anyway. She became a Nazi, so who cares? Um,
Oh my god. Well, that's probably another reason why he didn't want to make propaganda films.
probably. That was just a fun fact about we see an actress in here that was sleeping with the director at the time.
Oh man, that's probably why she got such a important role.
Maybe she was good though. I don't think it was. It wasn't like special treatment or whatever. She was good, and the only problem I had was you could see we there was something in between all of her teeth, and I didn't like that. When she would smile, each tooth was almost outlined, and I don't like that. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was gross, but other than that, she was really good. Uh,
So let's see here. This is a good way we can kind of circle back to the
okay.
plot a little bit. Sonia was a really good femme fatale,
Hmm.
Um definitely playing kind of both ends against the middle and not expecting to fall in love with, Agent 326. Um and I even though a lot of the romance subplot I didn't really care for, I did really like the fact that it's very obvious that they cared for each other, you know? Um I thought that was a good interesting subplot. It was doubling down on it and showing more that I didn't really care for.
Now, you bring up a good point because there are several moments in this film, her being one of them, just her and as a character, is now we're getting much closer to film noir, right?
Mhm.
We're using shadows in a really cool way in this one, right? Where there was a couple of moments. One where someone is off screen, but you can see their silhouette behind the person on screen, right? To know who they're talking to
Mhm.
someone, right? We'll see that my next pick. Um, we'll see that in M, and also there's the scene where Sonia is still bound to the chair, and she's seeing the struggle in front of her, and it's really big on the wall behind her, the shadow. And so it's like we're getting both the fight and her reaction to it all at the same time, right? By using shadow.
Mhm.
So by again using what would, then still probably be German expressionistic by using really stark shadows and using shadows of storytelling, this time literally, right? It's, because we could see the shadows. We're getting closer to film noir because they're not they're not over the top theatric. You know, they're not weird, right? They're not painted on. They're not being artificially manipulated or whatever. They're just now using the space in reality just with lighting to do this, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed and that's another reason why we're doing the series. I noticed that the things that we talked about in your first two picks, um, you know, definitely things are getting honed in more, with Fritz
Yeah.
as a director, you know. Yeah, I did notice like the use of lighting and shadows was a little bit more. It wasn't as stark as it was in the other two. It was a little bit more natural and
Yeah.
made more sense for a shadow to be cast this way or something like that.
A part of me now
Um,
wishes we would have, I guess, not done them all at the same time or all in a row. I'm glad we did Metropolis when we did it, but it'd be cool to see it now in order. Like what it would, when we had done Dr. Mabuse, now let's go ahead and do Metropolis. Now let's do Spies, right? Just to see the progression.
right.
Um, Metropolis still feels like a completely different movie and a different kind of movie, but maybe if we had watched them in order like we're doing these, there would be some sort of like connection to them in terms of style because think about Metropolis real fast. We get a little bit
Hmm.
of a nod to Metropolis in this because it's all over the wall. Uh,
Yeah.
in a couple of the shots, all the posters for Metropolis are all over the place. Um, which is sort of like, hey, go see my movie. Remember when I was doing those? Um,
Hey, remember when I almost bankrupt
yeah,
the,
I think
the
it was
production
UFA.
company?
Yeah, he almost bankrupted UFA, with Metropolis. But think back on that time. I think it was like 2 years ago when we did Metropolis.
Hmm.
Um, does it feel like Maboose or Spies? No.
No, it really
I
doesn't.
think it's because it's a completely different genre, maybe one, because it's science fiction. But also, I think because there's more, he went a little bit backwards in terms of style, especially um, for Rudolph's character, for the scientist, because he lives in a German expressionistic realm, right? When you see
Hmm.
where he lives in his space, um, and of course with, I mean that story is just, it's a lot, but it's easier to follow than this was. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know why. Um, I
No,
just
that's
really,
no, that's a
I just really like
that's a
Metropolis, I guess.
yeah. No, I
Um,
mean, that is a really good point, man. Um, yeah, because Metropolis feels like a whole other thing entirely.
yeah,
From for virtually anything we've really talked about. Um,
it might also be just the cultural significance of Metropolis. I mean, I mean, people may not know who Fritz Lang is, but they'll know what Metropolis is, right? Or at least
yeah.
recognize the robot woman. Um,
Hmm.
but if you say Spies, they're like, what about it? Like, what are you talking about? They're not going to know what we're talking about. It's
Yeah,
not
like
stood the test of time.
like when I was trying to gather some research for this episode, I typed in spies, and I realized I had to get specific with it because Google was like spies in disguise.
Like,
It's like
no,
no, not the 2019 animated film with Tom Holland and Will Smith.
should we have done that instead?
Um, that movie's great, man. It has
Is it?
it's really funny,
Uh,
but it has one too many butt jokes that shouldn't be in a child's movie,
okay.
like about cloacas and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
Um, but okay, so I feel like we're finally now where your favorite part, the train crash.
Yes, yes, I love the train crash. It's really
That
cool. You know.
it really was. That was really interesting how they did it. Of course, the part that stood out to me was, of course, the part you already mentioned, which is Sonia gets caught and is about to be killed, but 326 has his gun is poking out of the rubble.
Yeah.
uh,
But
which I was like, that's so cool.
even before then, because Sonya gives him the necklace and he has it in his pocket up above him, and it falls and hits him in the chest. That's our Alexa. Haley's home. She'll be up in a second. And it hits him on the chest to wake him up, and that's how he's even remotely aware that there might be an event happening. Right, that something awful might
Yeah,
happen because they've
something's
stopped.
about to.
Yeah,
Yeah, something's amiss.
yeah, which I really liked. I liked that piece of that prop came back in handy because at first you're like, who fucking cares about this stupid necklace? They keep bringing it up, and I don't care, you know.
Yeah.
And it turns out I should have cared the whole time. I was the one who was wrong. and and then it comes back in a major way. It wakes him up, and then that's how we identify his body at first because he's still holding it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we know that's 326. And again, you're right. We keep bringing up the gun and the rubble. It's just it's a cool shot. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it really is. Although I did think it was a little funny that once Sonia realizes who it is, she's all happy to see him and is kissing on him, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, let's get this stuff off of you."
Like, oh geez, my goodness, you're covered in debris. Yeah,
You're covered in pieces of your train car.
there was a thing.
Um,
There was a moment that I also really liked, and it was a piece of, I think, animation where I think it's in like the Japanese like agency or whatever, that they're being
mhm,
that they've been bugged. It's in that lamp or that vase, and there's the outline of what back then was a small microphone, and
mhm.
it takes up the whole vase. I really liked that superimposing, or maybe it's animation. I don't really remember at the time.
Yeah,
But I really liked that as well. I mean, there's cool stuff in this. It's just long.
there really
Long and
is,
kind of confusing.
and I was I was really excited for this because I really like the artwork, and it's 2 hours lesser than Dr. Mabuse. So I was like, dude, that's a win right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did find myself just like, I don't care about this, or wait, what happened again? Or
Yeah.
it was mainly the stuff I didn't care about. Like
Hmm.
I don't care. Get back to the espionage. This is
Yeah.
supposed to be a thriller, right? Um, I yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
I think we may have exhausted this, which is fine.
I
It can be a short one. Who cares? It's our rules. You know, we're not beholden to any advertising, because who would want to advertise on our channel? Uh,
imagine imagine we finally get Criterion to sponsor us, and they're like, nah, dude, they got to be 2 hours long every time.
Shit, I
I'm
can't
like,
do it.
Shh. All right, I guess we'll just sit here and play on our phones,
Can't
and
do it.
then
Keep your money. Can't do it. Won't do it.
even if they're like, we'll fly you out to New York and you can do a whole in the closet episode.
Can't. Sorry, I can't jeopardize my integrity.
You're Jesus.
Okay,
Well,
I
are
want.
you?
Okay, Zach, let us know what you think. You can comment if you want. You can just text me if you want, which you probably already will. Um, I want to know what you thought. I'm really sorry. Um, but we're done. We did it. We got through it. We made it through the silent films, and it wasn't that bad. You know, um, the rest of these are gonna be easy breezy. You know,
Well,
um,
and like I've been saying, man, I'm really excited to talk about M. When I got that
yeah,
on the Criterion, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I've ever told you this. I was like, Jeremy wouldn't shut up about this movie. I'll just fine, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, this is so good.
Yeah.
And there's sound, which, as I've learned from doing these 3 movies, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I need sound.
There
Um,
is sound, and we'll get to it, but Fritz Lang will use sound in a really unique way for filmmaking, which is really cool. Um, Haley's coming in. Hold on. Hi, honey. Hey, do you want to say hi to the people around the world?
Got rained on.
Oh no, I guess it's raining outside. Oh
uh,
no. Do you want to be on camera? You sure can. Yeah, you look great.
Okay.
See? Look, hey, look.
Hi.
Hi, look, there she is.
My mom's gonna see this. Oh my goodness.
Probably just my mom, actually. Um,
that's
anywho's,
so gold. Well, like
yeah,
I've been saying, dude,
she was on earlier.
we we should do an episode with Haley. We did, I technically did one with my
We
wife, so we
should.
should do one with Haley.
The look on her face, she looked terrified. Yeah, to do an episode with you would be fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You'll get to pick the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just
She
about to
says
say,
Captain America, of course. Makes
but
perfect sense.
although I would like to request, when that day comes, specifically the Winter Soldier.
Of course. Yeah. Winter Soldier, definitely. Okay. She's in.
Well,
yeah. So anyway, this is a good wrapping up point, I suppose.
yes, wrap up.
Wrap up. So thank you guys for making it through this another silent film, the last one. So, and again, I'm so sorry. Raid, what are we talking about next week? Is there sound?
Yes, there is sound, but as I've learned from screenshots, there is no color.
There is no color. Well, yes, there is no color. That is correct.
Next week we are talking about. Hang on. Stop yelling. We were talking about the 1994 Tim Burton movie Ed Wood.
Ed Wood.
Ed Wood.
Really
I
like
have
this
not. I have not seen it.
Mm.
We're about to get into some of my picks that I have not seen, which is mainly the next 2. This one, and then one that we're doing 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
But no, 2 weeks from now, because no, 3 weeks. I was right the first time.
Yeah, you got it.
Those 2 I haven't seen. I do know that this one's a biopic.
Yes.
About Ed Wood and about how he, from what I understand, about his sort of rise into filmmaking and then sort of his fall.
It is.
And
it's very good. It's
well, as I was looking at my Blu-ray case, it won 2 Academy Awards.
That I did not know, but Sarah Jessica Parker is good, which is cool because I'm not the biggest fan of Sarah Jessica Parker, but she's really good in this. Bill Murray's amazing.
But she's Matthew Broderick's wife.
I know. Bill Murray is amazing, and Martin Landau is tremendous. It's a really cool. I think he might have been one of the Academy Awards.
Yes, yeah. Martin Landau, Best Supporting Actor, and then Rick Baker and his team got Best Makeup.
That makes sense. It's really, really, it's really well done. It's better than you think. People who are like, "Oh, it's a movie about a guy who makes terrible movies," that sounds terrible. It's really good. So,
well, and I've learned that this is the sort of a niche for Tim Burton, especially when we're going to get into one of my favorites of his way later. Shut up. It'll be closer to the no, it'll be in like I said that one's in 3 weeks.
Let's do some math. That's fun.
In a minute. Big Fish. I think.
Oh yeah,
I think
definitely.
Tim. I think Tim. I think those hidden gems in Tim's
Mhm.
filmography really shine through.
I would
And
consider
it sounds
Ed
like what
Wood
you're
hidden. I
hidden. Yeah.
love Ed Wood. I would go as far as to say I love it. I think it's so good. And it's fun and it's different than his other stuff. It's more quirky than dark and weird. So
Yeah. Well, and one final thing before we close out. So when I bought my copy, got off of Amazon, and then I was at Best Buy, just kind of perusing, just kind of looking around, see if there's anything I wanted before Ashley and I had our challenge, and my Ed Wood copy was on its way. I'm just looking around, and I look down, and they had it, and I think it was like $6.99.
oh, cool.
And that was way cheaper than what I bought off of Amazon.
That sucks. If you are around a Best Buy and if they still sell movies, I know some don't anymore, which is a real shame. They probably might still have it, so go check that out if you want a copy, because it's really good. So I do recommend it. If you like Tim Burton, you like Johnny Depp, it's a win-win. I would say just go for it.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, I would say that about wraps it up for Spies. And we will see everyone next week for Ed Wood.